started drizzling about an hour and a half ago, sometime about 7:30 or thereabouts. So it's looking like we'll get more rains today. Well, in front of me, I have the forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today, 26 degrees centigrade at the moment. It may drop to about 24 from about 11 or 12 when we expect the thunderstorms to start to kick in. So you advise to please take an umbrella. If you don't have an umbrella, no problem. Just stay where you are and don't look for anybody's trouble. Now, it is Hello Port Harcourt. It's Tuesday, and we get to talk about business, construction. I don't mean those of you who work on construction sites, but I mean basically, activities that are either educational based, business based, Naira and Kobo, how people can get educated. And this one is smack on education. All right. It really, really is the smack on about education. Now, I have a guest joining me this morning, ladies and gentlemen. His name is Eze Gift Elebedim. He is the Executive Director, Rivers State Agency for Adults and Non-Formal Education. Now, I've been in this state for a time, probably like say 18, 20 years. And I'd say that at some point, right, I used to hear adverts on radio and television about centers that adults could go and get formally educated. Now, if my memory is not even that bad, there used to be a center somewhere around Ogbunabali, in the early 2000s. Now, I don't know if that's still the case, but we're going to find out from my guest this morning. Now, our aim this morning is to find out what the agency has been up to in recent years and how adult education can be sprung once again, because it was a big problem in the latter part of the last century, as a lot of people realized that yes, education was important, but there was a whole generation, not just of Nigerians, but of Africans that were left behind. So much so, it made news on CNN of a 70-year-old man who went to finish primary school and start secondary school at that advanced age. And a lot of people are like, why are you doing all of that? Now, it's 2024. You have smartphones. I have a smartphone. There's technology all around us. Is it really important for adults who probably didn't get to Uniport, or who probably didn't even go to community primary school somewhere in their community when they were growing up? Is it important that they go back to school? This and many other questions we hope to find out from our guest this morning. But let's bring it to the microphone. Good morning, sir. Good morning. It's a pleasure to have you join us in the studio.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now, like I stated earlier on, and I would like for you to please clarify so that the listener doesn't feel I have just dropped some information that's not correct. The agency, talking about the Rivers State Agency for Adult and Non-Formal Education, it didn't just pop up. It's been there for a few years, like I said.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people have not been hearing about the agency for a while. What's been going on?
Wow. That does not mean that the agency is not doing the work. The gap we want to close now is getting the public to know that the agency is existing and what we are really doing for the state. That's why we had to come to the studio to let people know and to point out some of the things that are already going wrong.
Okay.
What is going wrong? Let me take it from the beginning. Before the establishment of the agency in 1991, the agency was a department in the River State Ministry of Education. And then the state thought it wise, like the national. Something is wrong. The focus is on formal school system. What of those who could not access the formal school system? What happens to them? That gave the state the reason to establish the River State Agency for Adult and Non-Formal Education, and gave it the power and authority to regulate and to enforce all non-formal education programs ongoing in the state. What that means is that, naturally, like you've explained, no matter the input, no matter how much money spent by individuals or government to ensure that formal school is free and compulsory, there are still people who, for one reason or the other, beyond their capacities, that may not have access to school.
Fair enough.
What happens to those persons? That's where the agency comes in. We come in to take care of those who could not access formal school system. In our own profession, we call it alternate education program.
Okay.
But look, if you look at it now, the thing ongoing now is a lot of young ones are seeing education as a scam.
Yes, that was a trend about 2 years ago. There was even a song about it. Yes.
Why? Why that orientation? Where did we get it wrong? What do our children feel that education is a scam? Why? Because
is it education or is school? That was yeah, it's school. So maybe the formal education did not do very well to them, and they are not getting to learn things from informal sectors.
Informal. That is where the thing is getting difficult for us to comprehend. Whichever way, we did an analysis. The professionals in this field did analysis to look at what they called clientele analysis. Who deserves education more? Who? It's like asking a question. Between the hen and the egg
which came first?
Before we believe that our future depends on the generations of today. And so if government is doing everything to make sure that our children get educated. But the thing is, the parents that give birth to these children, what is their status?
A lot of them are probably not educated.
Go to the village, rural areas. For every village that has a population of 1 million, for instance, you will see practically that about 400 are educated. What of the 600 that are not educated? What happens to them? And these 600 that are not educated, what I mean by being educated is not people who could this morning on your program. I heard some people commending the state government for improving on their businesses, giving them low interest rate loan schemes, 200, 500, and they were happy. Now, though there are those in the rural areas who cannot access these loans, yet they produce and carry to market. Our own concern is getting them to improve on their own self-reliance ability.
But I remember, and I still think this happens in our banking system today. Those of you who are probably old enough, who have had accounts for more than 10 years, probably have seniors where you see elderly, a senior citizen go to bank, and then they want to withdraw their money. There's a deposit slip. They can't read or write, but they use their thumb, right? And then that grants them access to their monies, whatever amount it is that they want. Now, that might seem to suffice at that time. I'm saying about, let's say, 2 decades ago. Yeah, but in these days, it may not be the same because a lot of people are now becoming digital. But here is my first major question for you. Yes, you've highlighted what the agency is all about, getting, adults who have not had the opportunity to have any form of education to get some form of education, informal or otherwise. Now, the question is, let's start with the informal sector. Now, an apprentice who goes to learn from Babatunde, who is a mechanic in my one, for example, is getting informal education because he's learning how to be a mechanic, right? In the next 2 or 3 years, we have it in the boy structure, right, in the East. After about 3 or 4 years, the Oga settles him. He has taught him everything he knows how to manage that business. Are you saying now that for those kind of people, they have to come and meet the River State Agency before they can take apprentices, before they can teach people how to become mechanics, how to become electricians, how to become masons, for example?
No, that's not what we mean. Let's get it right. There are 3 forms of education: the formal, the non-formal, and the informal.
Okay.
The informal comes voluntary, just by listening to radio, listening to television, or listening to public addresses, discussing. Those are informal. Now, anything outside the formal school system is non-formal, and that's where we're coming.
Okay.
What you just described is non-formal. Now, what are we saying? The apprentice is going to learn carpentry. What we are saying is we need to encourage the man to do it in a proper way. Because non-formal education is a systematic process. We need what by the power given to the agency to regulate and to supervise means we need the statistics, we need the data to know this man is at this place and this is what he's doing. Because there are certain incentives that are credible for doing that. There are certain encouragement from government for doing that. And there are certain empowerment schemes that are available for such persons to be able, not just acquiring the knowledge is one thing, establishment of that skill is another thing. So when that carpenter is training the apprentice, and at the end of the training, for let's say 1 year, the apprentice gets home, nothing to start on his own. You will see that over time, the apprentice goes back, joins the bad boys in the street. But so what we're doing as a regulatory body, if we know that you're doing this, we want to know how you're doing it. How many people are you training? And apart from the skill you are giving to them, are they able to read and write? That's where we're coming. So simultaneously, while you are training them on the skills, we are giving them the basic skills of reading and writing. Because they can only be effective on their own.
So how do you expect, because this example we are on right now, I think is one that's very relatable. But mechanics, carpenters, some of the mechanics themselves, some of the carpenters may not be able to read maybe beyond primary 6 level. They can understand what this was, and maybe when they see mathematics 200,000 naira, they probably be able to do basic mathematics. So how does your agency hope to teach beyond that to the apprentices?
We have what we call post-literacy program. Apart from acquiring the skill of reading and writing to be able to learn what you are, we'll move you. Once we certify you, okay, your guy had taken you through the vocation and you can read and write. By your need, we interact with you. What is your wish? What do you need? You need to move further or you want to concentrate? If the person is interested in moving further, we enroll the person in the post-literacy program. That post-literacy program prepares the person balances beyond primary school. We give the person the education like as if the person is in a normal secondary school. On non-formal basis. Okay,
now if you just join us this morning, I am speaking with the Executive Director, Rivers State Agency for Adult and Non-Formal Education, is a gift, Elebedim. We're going to go on a break very shortly, just have about 30 seconds. But sir, for those who are just hearing this agency for the very first time, when exactly was it enacted here in Rivers State?
1991.
1991.
By the 80th.
Okay, so it's been in existence since 1991.
Over 33 years ago.
Some of you are probably just hearing about it for the very first time. We'll take a break. When we come back, heavier questions on the way. And what exactly has this agency been doing all these years? past the hour of 9 o'clock. We will get into your calls very shortly because we would like for you to be a part of this conversation. We're talking about adult education this morning, particularly in River State. And our big question is this: is formal education necessary for adults? Someone who's above, let's say, 27, 30, and even 50 and above. You see some of them sometimes in universities, they're coming for part-time, whether it's for the MSc or their BSc. But we're talking about education for those who probably never had a formal system whilst they were younger. Is it important? Some of you are also listening to me. You have built your houses. Your children are in university. You have 2 or 3 cars. You have at least 20 people who are working under you. And every Christmas, you are very sure you will get at least 3 bags of rice from your boys that you trained in life. Is there any need for you to go back and learn ABCs or 1, 2, 3s, or at least learn how to write a proper letter, or maybe even understand what research, and maybe do your own personal research? Is there any need for that? Hasn't life taught you enough lessons? Well, that and many other questions my guest is going to help us answer this morning. My name is Jude. Welcome to Hello Port Harcourt. The numbers to call when the time is made available is 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0002. All right. And then for WhatsApp, you can start to send us your messages on WhatsApp, your questions or your suggestions concerning this conversation to 0809-030-6416. I'll say that again, please. 0809-030-6416. And then we're streaming live on Facebook and on X at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeriainfo.
All right, we're back and we're going straight to our guest this morning. Good morning, Mr. Gift. A pleasure to have you join us in the studio.
It's a pleasure.
All right, so now we've talked about the origins. Since 1992 has been established. But there's some key things that we need to address now. Right now, you've told us why the agency was developed, so that it can grant some of the citizens in the state who have passed the age of formal education, or maybe not passed, rather, who missed out, yes, to be able to get some education. Now, let's start with this heavy one. If you are suggesting that the agency is going to encourage artisans, people are going to be given training in the non-formal sector, so carpenters, electricians, DJs, we see them everywhere. Come and learn how to become a DJ. If you're going to motivate them, or as it were, impress upon them to give their apprentices or those who are learning the trade under them a form of education that is structured so they can learn to read and write, how are you going to do this without these people thinking that you are another government agency to generate revenue and tax them?
That's why it is necessary to make clarifications concerning our functions in the state.
Yes, please.
Everything done and carried out by the Agency for Adult and Non-Formal Education in River State is free. Government sponsors. So you that is organizing a literacy program, a vocational program, before now, on your own, there is no form of taxation coming from our own angle, from the agency's angle. No, because already what we do is free programs for the citizens.
Okay.
You do not need to pay any tax. If you have registered your businesses and all that, we're not interested in that. All we're asking is, because we're interested in what you're doing, we need to know how you're doing it, how many persons are there,
okay,
and what is the future, what is the long-term effect of what you are doing. Do you finish with them and they go back to become hooligans in the state? Or is there any program that at the end of it, they will be self-reliant, carrying on the businesses on their own? That is where we are interested.
So let's assume that this is what you're interested in, like you've claimed. Yeah. How do you then go about to make sure that these individuals actually have these systems? Because I know a lot of people, and I've been to a lot of these training programs, particularly from the NDDC. They carry maybe 100 or 200 people from across the Niger Delta. They teach them how to become caterers. They teach them how to become mechanics, how to make soap. Soap was very popular, in 2005. They did all those things. And yet, when they were done, they gave them certificates and they left. So who's to go? Is the NDC meant to give them money to all 2,000 people to help them start their businesses?
That is where we are saying, if we are aware, like we are calling all those who are in such programs, come and get registered. Come and get known by the agency.
Must they get known?
Yes.
Why?
The reason is, you have just given an example. NDDC, for instance, has a program packaged for 100 persons. At the end of that program, they issue them certificates and they go.
Yes.
They don't have any business with them anymore. If we face with NDDC, we will say, okay, you have a program for 100. Please, make it 30 persons. So that at the end of the training, you will provide starter packages for the 20 persons. Let them go and start what they have learned.
But then again, maybe for NDDC, it's something that is feasible because there is the financial backing one way or the other, right? They may not, acquiesce to giving packages for 100 people. Maybe like you suggested, 30 people, right? Just take 30, no problem. But for individuals, like say NGOs, like say Jude has a business model, right? I love planting. I want to start people up in the business of planting plantains and teach them how to do it. They come and learn how to farm plantain. Jude will teach you. I teach them. I tell them, when you get this thing, this is what you do. I've done my act of random kindness. Rather than charging them, let's say 50,000 naira that you probably go and learn from University of Port Harcourt, for example, I've subsidized it. They know that this thing is legit. I have structure, like you said. I've taught them how to do it. They can see pictures. They can probably read and write. Teach them all. I even get numbers of veterinary doctors. In case your plantain starts to die, go and call this man to help. Why then do I need to come and meet you, the River State Agency for Adult Education in the first place? I've done my bit.
What you did was not free in the first place. What is behind your mind is to make small things for training them. But ours is free from the beginning. Let me give you a better explanation. Presently now, ongoing, the agency is running a 6-month vocational training for 276 participants in Opopo town. It is ongoing in Opopo State Primary School, Opopo.
Okay.
In that program, we have about 4 cardinal projects we are carrying out. The fashion designing, the catering, the cosmetology, the bead making. Ongoing now. There is a particular woman from Queenstown, who crosses the river to come to Opopo town to come and learn this skill. Under 3 months of this program, we started in July, August, September. That woman had been able to learn how to make fascinators. And now, she testified in our class that she already had 2 persons who had ordered her and had paid her 5,000 to provide fascinators for them. Now, see where we are coming in, our target. Our happiness is not just carrying out the program. Our happiness now is that somebody's life has been improved and touched. Okay. That's where we are coming. Because it is a free program. That is why these people are committed in getting that. Now, our concern is, at the end of the program, how do we make these people a sustainable program for them? How do they sustain their life? That's why we have just made a proposal to the government, asking government to support us to provide starter packs for them. If that is done, my brother, you now know that all those who took part in that program will be by themselves, self-reliant. They will even be employers of labor.
I agree. Ultimately, almost every governmental agency would like to see that happen. That, participants who come for those skill acquisition programs become employers of labor themselves. Talking about entrepreneurship and all the whatnot that comes with it. But for people like us, and this I say us now because I'm standing as a representative of maybe those who
are not here.
Yeah. But you see, all over the world, this same system works. You want to get extra knowledge, for example, you pay someone to teach you, a certain skill set that you don't have, right? Now, you are not going to, quote unquote, a university, a formal educational setting. You go for maybe a 3 weeks training, you get that knowledge, and then you're able to improve yourself. That particular enterprise, for example, I don't owe you any formal respect to give you that knowledge. You ordinary body be privy.
That's what I mean. As everybody. I finish your bill.
I can so you guys know that
already money.
See,
you are not registering with money.
Okay.
All we are asking is, come, let us know who you are, where you are, what you do. What it would mean for us is records on this number of people have acquired voting in the lab preparation of documents, train people for. And so when it is or National for Mass Literacy that breaks this body, sometimes they ask for these negotiations. If, for instance, there's need to empower 10 cents on fine. Yes. We show that from our record. Mr. Joe, we have 2 here. Mr. Chu is in Ibote, we have from here. Mr. Anthony is in Anthony, we have 2 persons. But that's number trained. But these 2 persons in it. If we know the record, if you know what they are doing, this is not the. And so we are for the when statisticians to define literacy rate, for instance. We'll be to add up all the things that are trained from. I consider define university on we them submit to the education. And so whatever point you and what you're doing, you have the obligation to know what you're doing and how you're doing it.
So now let's get another aspect. Now open the phones. The phones have been ringing. The computer is just like facing my guest, so he has probably been flashing. We're going to say your call. I'll also take comments on Facebook. Now I feel University of Port Harcourt, and I remember just before there were invitations in the evening, for lectures, and then I was curious. The evening on that until that time I didn't know about this. Now, if the University of Port Harcourt didn't physically start curriculum, have a course outline. I
don't think it's a wide range of education. Those education was organized for teachers to the college program.
Yes.
For adult education.
Yes.
Education is a form of education. What I do is to train at what we call the firing line level. Those professionals who are equipped with the skill of helping the adults to learn. It's a pure skill. Okay. Just what you're doing here, not everyone can do it without formal training.
Yes.
It is easy to train the children than to train the adults. There are certain skills you need to acquire to be able to stand before an adult and change his orientation, change his mindset, and conscientize him and appreciate him, first of all, that he needs to improve himself. It's a whole lot of things.
Okay. All right. So let's open the phone lines and let's start to have you joining the conversation once again on the show, talking about Hello Port Harcourt. I'll read a few messages. I'll also get to Facebook and read comments. So once again, the numbers 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0003. WhatsApp is 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. August June about the crux of the mean education without character. What's emphasis character?
See, you're an adult. You have your money. You have your children, you have your buildings, you have your cars. But there's something missing in your life. That is missing is where the adult education comes. To help you appreciate. It's not done by force. That is why if a teacher is before a child, the teacher knows everything. It just was a child. Okay. And when you stand before an adult, you don't even need it. You want to change behavior and character. You know those he need to be able to step him down to appreciate him. That is why we use the word conscientizing the person. That is touching. They are different from the first set of phones, the Nokia 33.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, those of us who started with the Nokias, you need some element of training to be able to manipulate the Android phone. So when, as an adult, you were using the Nokias and then somebody has presented you with definitely, you will humble yourself. Because you appreciate the phone, you will humble yourself to say, teach me, how do you do this? And the person will carefully, this one, informal now training. personalized training.
Yes.
So this is how you do it. Bam, 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 bam. And by the time you now understand what you are to do, you will appreciate the importance of the Android phone in your hand. That is what we do in adult education. Digital literacy is the in thing now. And so we have professionals who come in, teach the adults in the language they understand. Let's take, for instance, voting education. That's
the voter education for elections and things like that.
We made a letter to INEC, and we said, before elections are conducted, integrate as your tutors, as your teachers, as your facilitators, the electoral principles and reforms. Let those who know the skill to teach adults go to prepare those who will conduct the elections. Not just teaching them for election purposes. If they appreciate that, look, the woman in the village you want to come and vote need to realize the importance of going to vote. That woman.
On the line. Good morning to you, Emmanuel. Sorry. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Emmanuel from Port Harcourt.
Go on, Emmanuel.
Yes, I want to contribute on the issue you people are debating about.
Yes, please.
Then they have been trying to say they are conducting such program, but they don't have data. Now, are they trying to have that data? Because me, I attended the NDC training program in 2010. We are taken to Songhai Farm, Delta Mukwe, in Sapele. We are trained by NDC, and we are promised a starter pack immediately after the program. After the program, we are not given the starter pack. They said we should go, they will call us, that we should write down our names to form cooperatives, that they will call us and they give us to start as a cooperative. It's 14 years old. For those my company from Pastor, they said, go office of NDC and start them with that part. And my colleague called me and told that the farm, but I said, media for that, for them to give them to study. I farming and teaching.
Okay.
So I called on the state government as well.
Usually among the additionally less developed states for a long time. Does he know that if it's still the same moment, does he have any on? Okay, all right. Daniel from Imogate, very quickly, please. Oh, there, we've lost that call. Well, I don't think an hour is enough for us to have conversation about adult literacy and education. We will probably we hope to maybe get you on education. We hope to maybe get you on another